You don't have a discipline problem. You have a belief problem. And until you change your beliefs, no amount of willpower, motivation, or pre-workout is going to fix what's broken underneath. Welcome to the Nicole Curcio podcast, the show for women who want it all. Faith at the center, a strong and feminine body, deep family connections, and true freedom in their lives. I'm Nicole Curcio, a former medical insider turned fat loss and physique coach. I help high-performing women transform from the inside out, physically, mentally, and spiritually, without starving, obsessing, or burning out. Around here, we train with intention, eat with purpose, and build a life that reflects the woman you were created to be. Let's get into it. You don't have to put it back there. I know the first line. Let me guess. You told yourself more times than you can count that I just need more discipline. I'm just not motivated. I always fall off. You probably said it after eating a sleeve of Oreos, or after skipping the gym for the third day in a row, or after restarting that Monday meal plan for the 47th day in a row. But I just want to tell you something today that I wish more women heard. Especially women who are trying to do this the right way. You don't have a discipline problem. You have a belief problem. And until you change your beliefs, no amount of willpower, motivation, or pre-workout is going to fix what's broken underneath. So let's unpack that. Let's start with the most common phrase that I hear. I always fall off. Usually followed by, so what's the point? And can I be honest? That thought alone is enough to make you quit before you even get momentum. Why? Because what you expect from yourself, you'll always find a way to prove true. That's a self-fulfilling prophecy. When you expect failure, you subconsciously stop showing up. You don't prep your meals. You don't go all in at the gym. You don't hold your standard with your water, your sleep, your other habits. And then you say, see, I knew I couldn't stick with it. But let me challenge that. Maybe it's not a lack of discipline. Maybe it's that you never actually believed that you could change for long enough to let discipline do its job. That's a belief problem, not a behavior problem. Let me say something that may sound a little bit backwards at first, but hear me out. You don't become disciplined and then believe you're disciplined. You believe you're disciplined and then your behavior starts to follow suit. This is one of the most overlooked reasons why women stay stuck. They keep trying to act like a new version of themselves without ever becoming her in their mind first. Your brain is wired for consistency. It wants your thoughts, beliefs, and actions to all add up and match. That's why identity, who you believe you are at your core, always drives your behavior. There's a psychological term for this. It's called cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance is the internal tension you feel when your actions don't match your beliefs about yourself. And whether you realize it or not, that tension always gets resolved, one way or another. Let me show you what I mean. Let's say deep down, you believe, I'm just not a fit girl. I've always been thick. I've never been consistent. I'm the black sheep in my family. We're just all big boned. I always fall off. Now, let's say you start tracking your food. You're eating clean, you're lifting weights, you're hitting your water, you're feeling strong. But underneath all that, your core identity has not shifted. You still see yourself as the girl who always quits. You still believe you're just not a gym girl. You still carry the shame about your past and expect yourself to fail again. So what happens? At some point, you'll find a way to prove yourself right. You'll forget to log your food. You'll skip one workout and then 3. You'll hit a plateau, and instead of pushing through, you'll start to spiral. And that old voice will start to whisper, see, I knew I'd never stick with anything. It's not a discipline problem. It's an identity problem. You're trying to behave like someone you don't believe that you are. You're acting, and your brain can't live in that tension for very long. So you self-sabotage. Not because you're weak, but because your identity hasn't caught up with your behavior. And here's what's wild. It works the other way too. If you do believe that you're a woman who trains, eats clean, values her health, and shows up, you might miss a few days. You might even have a hard week, but you'll course correct. Why? Because those actions are incongruent with your identity. They don't sit right with you anymore. So you bounce back, not with shame, but with clarity. That's the power of identity. It doesn't mean you never mess up. It simply means when you do, you recover faster because you no longer see your failure as proof that that's who you are. Let me put this in your real life. If you identify as I'm not a morning person, no amount of discipline that you have is going to get you up at 5 o'clock in the morning. You'll snooze, you'll resent it, you'll quit because it doesn't feel like you. If you identify as I'm bad at tracking food, you'll resist logging your meals or following a meal plan no matter how easy the app is or how perfectly the meal plan fits into your daily life. Because tracking doesn't feel like something someone like you would do. And if you identify as the fun friend who eats what she wants, you'll feel like ordering the salad makes you the boring friend. You'll cheat on your plan to keep up your persona, even if that persona is slowly draining you. But what if you flipped it? What if you start telling yourself, I'm someone who makes health a priority. I'm learning to track like a pro. I'm disciplined even when I don't feel like it. I'm becoming the woman I used to envy. At first, it might feel like a lie, but it's not. It's a seed. And every time you say it and act in alignment with it, you water that seed until one day, not a stretch anymore, not a mantra. It's just you, who you're becoming. So if you want to stop falling off, stop focusing on your willpower, your motivation. Start focusing on who you're becoming. That's what creates sustainable change. Because when identity shifts, behavior follows. I'm going to say that again. When identity shifts, that's when your behavior follows. When behavior follows consistently, your results become inevitable. Let me give you an example. Imagine someone gives you the job title of doctor, puts you in the ER. Are you going to suddenly start treating patients with confidence? Of course not. No, because your identity doesn't match that role. But what if you've been through medical school, clinicals, training, years of putting in the reps? You'd walk into that room a whole different posture. Because now you actually believe you're a doctor. So your actions reflect that. Same thing with fitness. You don't just do the behaviors and hope your belief catches up. You adopt the identity first. Even if it feels foreign at first. Trust me, those med students, they do not trust themselves. But they're doing it anyway. So you say, I'm a woman who takes care of her body. I'm an athlete in training. I'm disciplined even on the hard days. I'm consistent because it's who I am now. Not just what I do. Now, this is where coaching quietly becomes really powerful. Because a good coach doesn't just hand you a meal plan and say, good luck. No, a good coach sees the version of you that you can't quite see yet. She reflects it back to you week after week. She speaks to the future you even when you feel stuck in the past. She helps you see when your words are reinforcing the wrong story. I've had women tell me, I've always been the big one in the family, or I've never been consistent with anything, or I just don't have the discipline gene. And I'll stop them right there because none of that is true. That's conditioning from years of failure, not your future. So every check-in, we're not just talking about food and workouts. We're talking about identity alignment. Are your words matching your goal? Are your thoughts matching your standard? Are your choices matching the woman you say you want to be? Because if they're not, we have to course correct. Not with shame, but with truth. Here's your challenge for today. Look at your self-talk. Look at your inner script. What's the story you've been telling yourself? Write it down. Maybe it sounds something like, I always quit. I just can't resist sugar. I just need to get my motivation back. I never follow through. Now I want you to write the new version, the one that matches the woman you're becoming. I'm a woman who keeps promises to herself. I don't need motivation. I've built discipline. I say no to what doesn't serve me because I know what I'm building. Even if I failed in the past, today I choose a new path. Then say it every day. Say it while you're brushing your teeth. Say it in the car. Say it while you're prepping your food or in between sets at the gym. Because belief itself is built through repetition. You can't think your way into a new identity. You speak it. You act on it. You rehearse it until it becomes real. But if you need a biblical anchor for this, let me take you to Romans 12:2. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Let's pause there. That word, renewing. It isn't past tense. It's not something you did once back in 2016. I was blah, blah, blah. It's ongoing. It's daily. God is telling you that transformation doesn't start in the body. It doesn't start with your willpower. It starts in your mind. And you don't get a renewed mind from scrolling comparison, repeating old failure narratives, or letting your past dictate your future. You get a renewed mind by training it. Just like you train your body. So if you're not seeing transformation yet, don't ask yourself if you're trying hard enough. Ask yourself, am I renewing my mind every day? That's where it starts. So let's close with this. Your problem isn't that you're weak. It's that you've been reinforcing the wrong story. But stories can change. And today you get to choose a new one. You're not the woman who always quits. You are not too far gone. You are not destined to stay stuck. You are becoming the woman who shows up for herself every single day, even when it's hard, even when it's slow, even when no one claps for you. You are building belief, and belief builds behavior, and behavior builds results. So this week, I want you to reframe your self-talk. Pick one old line that's been holding you back and replace it with something stronger, something more aligned with who you want to become. Say it aloud, write it down, text it to a friend, set it as your screensaver, because what you speak, you start to believe. And once you believe it, nothing can stop you. Strong, sexy, and unapologetically confident. That's the goal. Now go lift heavy, eat like you mean it, and act like the woman you're becoming. Talk soon.